also. So that's about the aviation space. Let's move on now and speak about the tractor industry. A healthy monsoon precipitation is likely to support growth in terms of volumes as well as a CAGR in terms of revenue for the Indian tractor industry. That's the view coming in from Icra. We have the author of the report with us, Subrata Ray, Senior Group Vice President, is joining us to decode his report. Subrata, thank you for joining us. Good to have you on the show. Let's go through the headline of your report, which says that a healthy monsoon is likely to help the tractor industry sustain growth here, and a volume growth of 9 to 10% is where your estimation is. So on back of this, take us through both the volume as well as the revenue expectation that you have.
Yeah, if you look at the tractor industry, the volume typically remains highly volatile. While year on year we have seen very large growth, like last year we had a growth of almost 17%, but if you look at a 4-year CAGR, the growth was only about 2%. And there is a clear correlation with monsoon precipitation. Typically, if the monsoon is below normal, or if the monsoon precipitation misses out some of the states which are highly dependent on irrigation, like states like Rajasthan, Karnataka, Andhra, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, these are highly dependent on irrigation. On the other hand, states like Punjab, Haryana, UP, they have a good irrigation system, so they are not so much of dependent on monsoon rainfall. So depending on the monsoon precipitation, there is always an impact on the tractor sales. Based on current forecast by IMD and SkyMate, it appears that this year we would have a normal monsoon, and the monsoon precipitation also is likely to be good across most regions, barring maybe some states in the western region. So in that event, we expect the tractor growth to remain fairly healthy. We would expect 9 to 10% kind of growth in the current year. So far, in the last couple of months, volume growth has been fairly strong. However, depending on how the monsoon progresses, there could be changes in that. But we expect, based on normal monsoon expectation, the growth will remain in the region of 9 to 10% in the current year.
All right. Subrata, also take us through, what the expectation is compared to the last year. Because in the last year also there was a bountiful rainfall. When at business channels we take a look at the stock performance also, so there was a huge rally seen across the board for some of these major tractor manufacturers like Escorts, Mahindra and Mahindra as well. What does it look like compared to the last year? Because I'm assuming that the comparables will also be on a relatively high base, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As you rightly mentioned, we had 2 consecutive years of bad monsoon, FY15 and FY16, and which also was reflected in steep decline in tractor volumes. Then last year we had a very good monsoon, and the positive part of that is also that if you look at average the water reservoir levels across various regions, barring southern region, in every other region the water reservoir levels today is much significantly higher than, because of the good rainfall that we had last year, is significantly higher than the levels we have seen on an average over the last 10 years. So because of that, we expect the agricultural sowing and agricultural performance to be good in in most of the regions, except in south, where because of the south is largely dependent on post-monsoon rainfall, and last year the post-monsoon rainfall in south was below average, and because of that the reservoir levels have declined very sharply, and because of that we are facing drought-like situation in some of the states in south. So barring south, in every other region the reservoir levels are good, and we expect a good rainfall. So these 2 factors combined, we should have a good harvest, and we should have a good demand for tractors.
Right. And Subrata, what about the inverted duty structure for some of these tractor manufacturers? That has been debilitating to their cause. After this GST revision for tractor inputs, do you think it comes in as more of a positive?
Yeah, I think the GST is positive because now they would be able to take the input credit. So we don't expect any adverse impact of GST. In fact, it will be probably marginally positive for the tractor industry.
All right, and finally, before we let you go, you've also mentioned about the categories as far as engine power is concerned. So you say that the ones between 31 to 50 horsepower have been pretty much the mainstay in terms of volume growth, but now there's also some demand seen for below 30 and above 51. So OEMs have started to manufacture new products catering to these segments. So do you see some kind of churn happening between category-wise breakup?
Yeah, I think in terms of value, of course, the lower tractor segment is quite small. but we can see a healthier volume growth in the lower tractor segment. Similarly, in the 50+ category segment also we are seeing some traction. Sometimes these also depend on state-specific incentives which are provided. Like some of the states are giving HP-specific incentives, and also typically the impact of any incentive has a higher percentage impact for smaller tractors. So that also favors low HP tractors. So because of the state-specific incentives, we believe there could be some traction coming in both lower HP segment and also in the higher HP segment. Also, over the last few years, the cost of rural agricultural labor has gone up. So to that extent, there is an effort to increase the mechanization levels, both in terms of tractorization as well as a greater usage of implements. So again, that should also favor the lower HP tractors.
All right, Subrata, we're going to leave it at that, but thank you so much for joining in, decoding your report for us. What do you feel about the GST and also a category-wise breakup of volume growth as well? That's all the time that we have in this edition of Trending Today. Thank you so much for watching.